Hello students and welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Shefali Nagpal, Associate Professor at Human Resource Development Center, Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Sonipat. Let us start with the paper, The Development of the Management Thoughts, Principle Types under Human Resource Management, the Concept of Corporate Strategy. On the completion of this module, you would be able to understand the concept of strategy and know how it differs from the tactics and policy. Secondly, to understand the meaning and definition of strategic management. Then to understand the strategic management process, understand the various strategic management models and understand what is competitive advantage, the ultimate purpose of the competitive strategies. Let's begin with the module. I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I know. Their names were what, why, when, how, where and whom. This is what the Kipling said. There is a paradigm shift in the way the business were being managed in the early 90s and now. Earlier, there were very few businesses, houses who could sustain their name for a longer period of time because there was no cutthroat competition at that time. For many years, these businesses like Tata, Birla enjoyed the status of monopolies. But with the emergence of global economy, the fundamental nature of competition has changed. Now there are many players and competition is not high but hyper. Each player is struggling hard to grab the market share of the others. These transformations are due to the constant changes in the different facet of environment. Changes in the political, economic, social and ecological environment have bearing on the business. Geographical boundaries are vanishing over the period of time and the world has emerged as the global economy. Developing nations are rapidly becoming developed nations. Because of the technological advancement, organizations are becoming more and more tech savvy and search for the knowledge organization is witnessed in the last few decades. There is explosion of the data and information. Information exchanges very fast. According to a survey, India is the second largest user of the Facebook and WhatsApp after USA. On the social and economic fronts, there are a lot of changes. Purchasing power of the people is increasing, buying preferences are changing, people are demanding goods and services from every hook and corner of the world. There is no great surge in the imported goods in the country. Political system has witnessed a lot of tumult in the last 1 decade. After a very long period, India has got its first stable and majority government under the leadership of Shri Narendra Modi. With the change in the leadership of the country, many new changes, modification, abolitions have come. Recently, Companies Act 1956 has become changed to Companies Act 2013. And in some new acts have been enacted and in certain acts some amendments are made. Change in the corridors of the politics brought changes into the facet of environment, be it social, economical, technological, ecological, etc. With the change in the different facets of environment, India incorporation has gone through radical changes. To cope up these changes, its profound impact on the competition has forced Indian corporate world to be more agile and vigilant. Thus, organizations are struggling hard and using strategic planning to manage their business. Therefore, in today's age, surviving, sustaining and being competitive requires wisdom, analytics and craft, which makes strategy creation an absolute necessary. Concept of strategy. Before knowing the meaning of strategic management, let us understand what strategy is all about. The word strategy has its roots from the Greek word strategica or strategos, which means generalship or the art of winning the war. The other Greek equivalent for the modern world strategy is strategikaik, episteme, which is general's knowledge, and strategion, Sophia, which is general's wisdom. the very popular Latin work in the domain of military strategy is written by the Frontiers is Strategy-matra, which means tricks of war or compilation of strategy gems. The word strategy stems from military, the art of war, written by the Sun Tzu in the 400 BC, is till date considered the best work on military strategy. Had there been no enemies, there would not have been any strategies. The export of this word from military to business world would not have been possible without H.O. Iger and Soff. Soon we had the word competitive strategy, a term coined by the Michael Porter in his book Competitive Advantage. Strategy is a set of competitive moves which are taken by the top management of the firm so as to generate successful outcomes. Different authors have defined strategy in their own ways. Let us deliberate upon some definition given by very famous authors of strategic management. Andrews, in 1955, defined strategy as the pattern of objective, purpose, goals, and major policies and plans for achieving these goals, stated in such a way so as to define what business the company is in or is to be, and the kind of company it is or is to be. According to the Alfred D. Chandler, in 1962, strategy is a determination of the basic long-term goals and objectives of an enterprise and the adoption of the course of action and the allocation of resources necessary for carrying out the goals. And Soff in 1965 explained the concept of the strategy as the common thread among the organization, activities and product markets that define the essential nature of the business that the organization was or planned to be in future. Strategy is a mediating force between the organization and its environment, consistent patterns in streams of organizational decisions to deal with the environment. This is what the Mintzberg said in 1979. According to William F. Glueck, in 1984, strategy is a unified, comprehensive and integrated plan designed to assure that basic objective of the enterprise are achieved. Prahlad in 1993 defines strategy is more than just fit and allocation of resources. It is stretch and leveraging of resources. Porter in 1996 defined the strategy being different. It means deliberately choosing a different set of activities to deliver a unique mix of value. Based on the various definitions, one can see the shift in the viewpoint about strategy. For example, early authors have defined strategy as objective, plan, goals. While Ansoff emphasized on the gap the strategy fills between where the business is and where it has to be. In recent years, Prahlad has put the resource-based view of strategy while Porter has focused on value creation. Mintzberg has identified the 5 P's of strategy, which could be plan, pattern, position, ploy and perspective. Plan is how do I get there? Pattern is consistent actions over time. Position is it reflects the decision of the firm to offer particular products or services in particular market. Ploy is maneuver intended to outwit a competitor. A perspective, that is a vision and direction, a view of what the company or organization is to become. On the basis of above definition, following dimensions of strategy can be deducted. Decided by the top level management, it is a course of action, allocation of resources, measure the direction of an organization, reduce uncertainty, futuristic in nature, proactive in nature, helps to set clear objectives, connect short-term and long-term goals, ongoing and continuous process, bridge the gap between means and end, assures control, satisfy customers, satisfy all the stakeholders, bring financial and non-financial benefit. The factors which are included in the strategies are Blues Henderson wrote in 1981 that strategy depends upon the ability to foresee future consequences of present initiative. He concluded that strategy development include among other factors. One is extensive knowledge about the environment, market and competitors. Ability to examine this knowledge as an interactive dynamic system. Third, imagination and logic to choose between specific alternatives. Henderson wrote that strategy was valuable because of finite resources, uncertainty about the adversary capabilities and intentions, irreversible commitment of resources, necessity of coordinating action over time and distance, uncertainty about control of initiative, and the nature of the adversaries' mutual perception of each other. Strategy versus policy. Policies are the blueprints or guiding principle which stem from value system of the top level management, CEO, owners, MD, CFO, board of directors, etc., which guide them in taking decision. Strategies, as we have discussed in the competitive move, game plan, course of action to achieve the competitive advantage over rivals, gain customers, trust and greater value for all its stakeholders. Policies are the guiding principles for strategists. Let us study the concept of the strategic management, its meaning and definition. Kaufman and Wallach in 1980 discussed that strategic management is a planning framework that cut across organizational boundaries and facilities strategic decision making about customer group and resources. Second, a planning process that stimulates entrepreneurial thinking. Third, a corporate value system that reinforces manager commitment to the company's strategy. Strategic management process of managing the pursuit of the organizational mission while managing the relationship of the organization to its environment. Strategic management is defined as a set of decisions and actions resulting in the formulation and implementation of the strategies designed to achieve the objective of the organization, as defined by the Pierce and Richard Robinson. Strategic management is a process of examining both present and the future environment, formulating the organizational objective, and making, implementing, and controlling decisions focused on achieving these objectives in the present or the future environment, says Smith and Arnold. Ireland and Hoskinson in the year 1999, along with the HIT, they refer the strategic management process as the full set of commitment, decision and actions required for the firm to achieve the strategic competitiveness and earn above the average returns. While Hittels use the term has a strong bottom line focus. Mintzberg, in an academic sense, referred to the strategic management as revolving around the discrete phases of formulation, implementation and control carried out in cascading step. Strategic management is a continuous process that involves attempt to match or fit the organization with its changing environment in the most advantageous way possible. Historically, number of the framework and models have been advanced which propose different normative approaches to strategy determination. Strategic management process. The above definitions of the strategic management basically focuses on the process which include strategy formulation, strategy choice, strategy implementation, strategic evaluation and control. Let us study one by one. Strategy formulation. Identifying the business fundamental values which shape objective and goals of an organization and setting vision, mission, goals, objective of an organization. Assessing the business environment, that is external environmental analysis to identify opportunities and threats to the business. To analyze the resources, capabilities in terms of strength and weakness, which are internal environmental analysis. Next is strategy choice. To analyze various strategic alternatives and choosing the best one, that is the strategy choice. Strategic alternatives include strategies at the corporate level, business level, that is the generic strategies, and functional level. Third is strategy implementation. It is the action stage of the strategic management process. In this stage, short-term and annual objectives are set. Allocation of resources and coordination of all the activities are established. Strategic implementation include structural, behavioral, functional and operational implementation of the strategy. Then is strategic evaluation and control. The last stage in the strategic management process is strategic evaluation and control. This stage includes whether a particular strategy is leading the organization towards the desired objectives, because organizations don't work under the stable environment. As the internal and external environment keeps on changing, hence make the strategies amenable to change. Though we have discussed earlier that tactics are flexible and strategies change frequently. Therefore, on the basis of the constant evaluation and review, organization will come to know that there is any deviation which need to be corrected, then correction actions will be taken to fix the problem. Now let us study the strategic management models. Neath Andrews model. In 1965, Neath Andrews developed a strategic management model which consists of one step, that is choice of strategy. Later in 1971, Andrews revised this model and added one more step to the strategic management process, that is implementation. Thus, Andrews model consists of the following two stages. One is the strategic choice, another is strategic implementation. Next is Glueck model, which was given in the year 1972. William F. Glueck developed the several models for the strategic management based on the general decision making process, that is strategy formulation to determine the mission, goals, values of the firms and the key decision makers. Environmental analysis to search the environment and diagnose the impact of the threats and opportunities. Strategic choice to consider various alternatives and assure that appropriate strategy is chosen. Strategy implementation to match plan, policies, resources, structure and administrative style with the strategy. Strategy evaluation and control to ensure strategy implementation will meet the objectives. The Shandale and Hofer model in 1978 developed a strategic management model which consists of strategy formulation, which further include three sub-analyses, namely environmental analysis, resource analysis and value analysis. Strategy implementation, strategy evaluation and strategic control. Schematic model. As an aid in envisioning the strategic management process, this model was developed by the Peter Wright, Charles and Mark Kroll in 1994. It consists of the 5 stages given as follows. Analyze the environmental opportunities and threats, analyze the organizational internal strength and weakness, establish the organizational direction, mission and goals, strategy formulation, strategy implementation and control. Strategies and competitive advantage. Strategy is a course of action which enables an organization to achieve its goal. One of the major goals of any organization is to perform better than the competitors and earning to be commensurable with capital employed, that is return on investment and relative profitability. Therefore, through strategies, organization gain competitive advantage, that is an organization earns profit more than the industry average. And when the organization earns such profits for some years consistently, these are called sustained competitive advantage. Competitive advantage has its roots in resources and capabilities of an organization. Resources may be physical or non-physical. Tangible resources have monetary value and is materially present, like land, tool, machinery, equipments, furniture, fixtures, building, vehicles, computers, etc. Intangible assets are incorporeal assets which have a certain useful life and an economic value. For example, goodwill, trademark, copyrights, patent, intellectual property, licensing agreements, brand, internet domains, etc. Capabilities are the mechanisms which make these resources work for the organization to produce goods and services to earn profit. Resources and capabilities produce distinctive competencies of an organization, that is specific strength, cost leader, differentiated, unique product and services that distinguish it from rival organization. Distinctive competencies shape the strategies of an organization, and the backward arrow depicts The strategies in turn build resources and capabilities, which again lead to distinctive competencies which facilitate strategies. A strategy further enhances competitive advantage and further create value for the customers and other stakeholders. As we can see in the figure above, the strategies, resources, capabilities and competencies. The sources of competitive advantage can be obtained from external as well as internal environment. Various tools and techniques are used to understand the source of competitive advantage. For example, PEST, that is political, economic, social and technological environment, and Porter's 5 force model, which include threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, bargaining power of customer, bargaining power of suppliers, industry rivalry. From internal environment methods like value chain analysis, VIRO, that is valuable, rare, costly to intimate and organized to capture value, BCG, Boston Consultancy Group metrics are the main. VRIO is a tool that analyzes the internal resources. The tool was developed by the Barney, JB in the 1991 in his work Firm Resources and Sustained Competitive Advantage. According to this tool, if the resources is valuable, rare, costly to imitate and the firm is organized to utilize the value of the resource, then it is capable of creating sustained competitive advantage for the company. The latest view on sources of competitive advantage has come from the resource based view, that is RBV, that sees resources inside the organization as source of the competitive advantage rather than external factors in competitive advantage. This view emerged in 1980-1990s after the seminal work of Werner Felt B. and Himmel and Prahlad and Barney J. Resource-based view relies on the resources which, as discussed above, can be both tangible and intangible. According to the author, tangible resources can no longer be the source of competitive advantage because sooner the competitors will acquire these. Intangible resources are the main and important source of competitive advantage as the organization take long to build these resources. These cannot be easily brought from the market because these need to be earned over the period of time. After assumption of these resources is that these should be heterogeneous and immobile. The resources, skill, capabilities of one company should differ from other so that the rivals could not employ the same strategies to compete with the others, and second, these resources should not be mobile, meaning hereby that competitors should not be able to copy these. Intangible resources are usually immobile. Last assumption is that these resources should follow VRIO or VIRO framework, that is valuable, rare, costly to imitate, and company is organized enough to utilize the value of resources. If resources fulfill all these assumptions, then certainly they are going to provide the sustainable competitive advantage. Let us now summarize. The word strategy has evolved and continues to evolve over the period of time because change is the name of game. Strategies of yesterday are no more usable today or will be tomorrow. H. Iger and Soff got the credit to bring this world to the business world from military. Even this discipline has observed a complete transformation from business policy to strategic management. In 1950s, the focus was on the budgetary planning and control. In 1960s, the long range planning. In 1970s, on portfolio approach. In 1980s, competitive strategy. Competitive advantage in 1990s, core competency and resource based view of strategy in 2000. On strategic innovation. Next, a distinction has been made between the strategy and tactics. Tactics are sub-strategies that are used to implement the strategies. Strategies are infrequently changed while tactics are amenable to change because change in the business environment. If strategy is a journey, then tactics is a trip. Strategic management process involves the various steps to understand or to get to the logical insight into these stages, and historical evolution of strategic management models was done. We started with the Andre model in 1957 and concluded with the Semantic model in 1995. On the basis of the various models, a general present-day model has been presented at the end, which include stages like strategy formulation, which further consist of the environmental analysis, strategic intent, strategic choice, strategic implementation, strategy evaluation and control. The prominent purpose of any organization is to achieve superior performance or to gain a competitive advantage over the rivals. In the end, a connection has been presented among the strategies, resources, capabilities, competencies and competitive advantage. And a recent resource-based view of the resources have been discussed that helps creating sustained competitive advantage. Thank you, students.